Well, welcome back to another episode of the Student Ministry Conversation podcast. We're going to dive right in with a short video of encouragement for you guys. We all know the song, Somebody to Lean On, right? It's a song that uh, I have admittedly played probably too many times in my life. But we all need that somebody that we can lean on in times of great difficulty, of struggle, when you feel discouraged, and sometimes just in those times of joy too, when you just don't want to be alone. There's nothing wrong with that. We all need somebody to lean on, and as pastors, as youth pastors, as children's ministers, whoever you are on the other side of the screen watching, we all know what our role is to encourage the people in our ministry. But I think sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we get so focused on the minutia, the details of things, that we forget the importance of being an encouragement and what that can do for others. And so sometimes we have our blanketed encouragement, but there are people in our ministry that desperately need encouragement. And so I remind you, hopefully, like me, you have people in your life that are encouraging you. So I want to, I didn't phrase that well. I'll say it this way. I hope that this is a reminder to you. My prayer, my hope is that you have people in your life who love you enough to encourage you, who see when you're struggling, who reach out, whether it's a text message or a phone call or an email or a note, whatever it might be, that you can kind of store and keep in those times when you feel discouraged for whatever reason it might be, whether it's something that you caused or just life kind of smacking you in the chops. Sometimes we just need somebody that we can lean on. So I want to remind us today what encouragement can do for us and for somebody else. I think it's something that helps keep us motivated, right? We know the ultimate motivation in youth ministry is to bring students to Christ, right? To encourage them to have a lasting relationship with Jesus that lasts so much further than just the time that we have them with, but that they would build a relationship with Jesus that lasts well into their adulthood, that will last when they have a family of their own and they have kids that are in youth age, that they're given the same opportunities that we're giving them today. That's our ultimate goal. It keeps us motivated to know that, but sometimes in life you could just get hit with so many different things. And truth be told, I had a totally different topic in mind for this morning, and yesterday wasn't a bad day by any means. It was just one of those days where, just despite my best efforts, I was feeling really discouraged. It wasn't anything that anybody said or did. I just think it's one of those moments. I just got back from my third camp of the summer, and I'm preparing for my next camp next week. And so I think maybe just the constant, hustle and bustle of camp life, and also being around people who are very encouraging, and then all of a sudden you get home and you hear about all the negative things that are happening in the world and in your church, and it can very easily become discouraging. And so it's in those moments that I remember, if I'm feeling discouraged, maybe someone else is too. And so yesterday I spent some time just shooting some text messages through. I call a couple of people too, but mostly text messages to people who I know have been kind of going through it, and just to let them know, hey, love you, hope you're doing well. Little things like that. You never know. You never know how that might help somebody. And then I think through. The funny thing is, I was already kind of feeling this going into the day, and I got into the office and was just saying hello to everybody in the office, and there was this note in my box, and it was really, really sweet. I'm going to go ahead and read it because I just think it was special, and it kind of touched me today, and is a reminder of what we can do, the power of encouragement. It said, "Hey David, I cannot express to you how much Gabe enjoyed your musical talent. Side note, he's a guy in our church that passed away a couple weeks ago. Really, really sweet guy, wrestled with a lot. Talk about someone who felt discouraged in life. He was someone uh, who went through a lot, and but he had such a fierce, loving heart. And I'll get back to that. Each Sunday, you moved him to tears. I'm also a worship pastor, if you didn't know that. Okay, let me start over. I cannot express to you how much Gabe enjoyed your musical talent. Each Sunday, you moved him to tears. Your help during his celebration of life is so appreciated. We could not have done this service without your music and sound help. You have a special gift, and it does not go unnoticed. I hope you know that. And then said a couple other things I'll keep private, but um, she has no idea how much that meant to me today. When you feel discouraged and to get a note like that, my desk is filled with notes from students, just being encouraging, sometimes being turds, and I love that too. I keep all of them. I love the jokes. I love, all the different things. They know I love dad jokes, and so sometimes I'll get a sticky note on my desk and it's a random dad joke, and then it always says on the back, "Hope it made you laugh" or whatever. They know full well it's going to make me laugh. I love jokes, but um, those little moments of encouragement. This was a man that, um, despite all the stuff that he went through in life, every single Sunday, he made a point to come up to me after church, after service, and shake my hand, look me right in the eye, and thanked me for worship. Whether the worship was good or not, he said it was amazing. And there were times where I was like, no, and I was just feeling discouraged, like, man, I did terrible, or you get in your head about it, and you think there's no way this was any good. Um, every week without fail, he would come up to me and encourage me and tell me thank you for the music. And it wasn't just him. We have several people in our church, very, very sweet church, that very loving church, that is willing to be that encouragement. And you never know. You never know. I came from a place previously where I didn't feel encouraged often. And it wasn't the whole church. I certainly had people who loved us, loved my family fiercely, and encouraged me. Um, but I felt a lot of discouragement too. And you never know what a note can do for someone. And in a day where it wasn't by any means a lowest of low kind of situation, but I was certainly feeling discouraged, and this helped. And so I think it's a reminder to us as youth pastors is that encouragement matters, and we have the opportunity to encourage our students and volunteers in a big and mighty and powerful way. I will never forget. I had a particular student who has probably given me more notes of encouragement than any student in my 22 years of ministry. I have countless amount of sticky notes. Actually, I would say the majority of the sticky notes on my desk and in my little box in my drawer come from her. Um, she has such a huge heart for encouragement and seeing people where they are. And she hasn't had it easy in her life. At one point when she came into my ministry at sixth grade, I'll never forget. She walked straight up to the stage where I was. I was preparing for worship that night. And she went straight up to the stage, and she didn't say a word to me. I didn't even know her name yet. I was brand new to right up to me, and she placed her shoulder, which as a youth pastor, that kind of freaked me out. Not gonna lie, I was like, what is going on? Don't understand. Um, and she didn't say a word. I asked her if she was okay. She said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And that was about the majority of the conversation for that part. We ended up talking a little bit after service, and I asked the children's minister at the time, "Hey, what was going on with her?" She seemed upset, and had a great conversation with her. Turned out that she never really knew her dad at the time. She ended up building a relationship with him over the years, but she didn't really know her dad. In that moment, it hit me. I have the opportunity to be there for her, but I also have to be careful because she has a giant dad-sized hole in her heart, and so I have the opportunity to show her the greatest father ever, and that's God. And being able to encourage her in her life, and the way that, and I had no idea how much she would encourage me over the years. She would see things, and it seemed like without fail, anytime I went through something, there was a new note on my desk at random times in the week, like not just on church days. Like I'd show up on a Tuesday and there'd be a note. So she was clearly showing up when she knew I wouldn't be there, and she'd place it. And every single time I would see her next, I would say, "Hey, thank you so much for the note." And she was like, "How'd you know it was me?" She would like intentionally try to write in a different handwriting to make it. She even had other people write the notes to try to make sure I didn't know, but I could just tell by the wording and stuff like that. But in just her heart. But you never know what kind of encouragement you can give to somebody else, because I can't tell you how many times people have stepped in the gap and helped me be an encouragement. Think of the platform that we have as student pastors. We have, whether you have 2 people in your youth group or 202 people, you have people who are looking to you um, as a spiritual guide, as a mentor in their life, somebody that helps them navigate the highs and lows of life. And it's important for us to understand that there are people who are depending on us. And there's not just our students. There's a lot of adults too that depend on us and see us, and we have an opportunity to be that encouragement. The truth is, it's something that can give us some crazy amount of joy. And the funny thing is, it can give us just as much joy to give encouragement as it is to receive it in those times when we desperately need it. I mean, come on, let's be honest. We all know what it can feel like to pursue something new, whether it's a new job or a new hobby, something creative, and to not receive any kind of feedback or encouragement. And you just wonder the whole time, like, am I doing anything right? Am I doing well? Are people going to be frustrated with me? Are people going to be happy with the work that I'm putting out there? And at the end of the day, we all care. And if we're going to put time and effort into something, we hope that people see it, whether we want to admit that to ourselves or not. Everybody wants to be noticed for the work and the time and the effort that they put in. I think it's a great equalizer for all of us, whether you're a highly skilled person, a super, extroverted, happy go lucky, life of the party kind of person, or an extreme introvert. Everybody wants to feel like the things that they're doing, the things that they're saying, the work and effort that they're putting in matters. Sometimes in those moments when we feel discouraged, those are the times when the enemy can really press in and we want to quit. And it becomes really hard to stick to our goals and to our calling. And that's the other side of it that I want to remind you. And I know we've talked about this in several of these solo summer student ministry conversation podcasts that we've done. I've kind of enjoyed this kind of solo encouragement because it's very off the cuff and not as polished as we would normally make them. And so, but one of the things that we have talked about is the importance of understanding your calling and being confident in the calling that God has created you to be right and put you right where you are. I think it's important for us to remember that if God has called you to be where you are, then He's also going to equip you with what you need to lead and to lead well if you let Him. And there's going to be seasons where that's going to be an easier thing to do, and there's going to be seasons where it's a harder thing to do. Being in the summer, we know this is prime time for us, right? We're busy, 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 busy. Like I said, we're gearing up for me, my 4th camp, and this is one that I'm directing, and so with Brent, and I'm really excited. It's a cool camp. It's become home for us. But at the same time, it's definitely hot summers out there, and with everything that's been going on in Texas, with the flooding and all of that, there's a lot of people who are feeling down in the dumps right now. There's a lot of people who are struggling to see the hope, and we have to remember that we offer hope every single day. When we get up and we go to work, we have the opportunity to offer hope to somebody, whether it's our students, whether it's a random person that walks into the office needing help, whatever it might be. It might be your fellow staff members. But all of us have the opportunity to be an encouragement and to offer hope to somebody else. So imagine, if you will, with me, how your church and your community could change for the better with a little bit more encouragement, whether it be between your neighbors in your community or other people inside your church, or even the staff dynamic that you have at your church. How much better would our community be if our like the community message boards and like Facebook pages and stuff like that were filled with compliments instead of complaints and rants? How much better would our church be if, when we met together for a town hall meeting, everyone just sung the praises of God and taught and shared testimony after testimony of how God is moving in their life, and how the ministries inside our churches were blessing them instead of complaining about X, Y, and Z? How much better would it be if we as a staff came together and built each other's ministries up and said, hey, you have a VBS? Fantastic. I'm so excited. We are so excited to partner with our children's ministry in VBS. And I can't wait to see how our students get to serve and encourage our kids, and how incredible this time is going to be together. What would our churches and communities look like if we encouraged one another, built each other up, instead of complained and focused only on the things that we want or desire for our church and community? I want to leave you with this verse, this little passage in Scripture. It's a pretty popular one in Hebrews chapter 10. I've always encouraged, read all of chapter 10 and get the full context of what's going on. Maybe read a chapter or two ahead and after to get the full context. But for time's sake, I'm going to focus on verses 23 through 25, and it says this: "Let us hold fast to the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." We're called to be an encouragement. We're called to bring the hope of Jesus. So my prayer, my hope for you is that you would be that for somebody else. And if you here today are feeling discouraged, please reach out to us. Shoot us an email at you can shoot a email directly to me at David at studentministryconversations.org. Would love to hear from you. Or you can find me on social media. And of course, as always, we would love for you guys to share the Student Ministry Conversations podcast with your student ministry buddies, or it can even be with a pastor or children's pastor. If you find something that's relevant, just because we talk about student ministry doesn't mean it doesn't correlate to all the other ministries inside church. A lot of times there's so much crossover with all of that. So if you like this episode or another episode, all we ask is that you'd share it. We don't make money on these. We just want to be an encouragement, and we would love to have you guys on. If you want to sit with us at our sort of virtual table, we would love to sit down and have a conversation with you wherever you are about what you want to talk about, whatever God has put on your heart and gifted you with, or something you're passionate about. We would love to have that opportunity to sit there and have a conversation with you. And as the train very loudly goes by my window, I will go ahead and call it with that. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we can't wait to see you on the next one.